Polly Billington, is Tim Aker getting under your skin?
Not at all. I think the only people I'm really focused on are the people in Thurrock that I would like to be able to represent. Myself and my team, since I was selected nearly 3 years ago, have spoken to 20,000 people. We know what the people of Thurrock really care about. We know that they're most anxious about the prospect of jobs and homes for their children and the decent public services that they think they deserve. And those are the things that we've been campaigning on, and those are the things that I'm determined to campaign on from now until 2015. And most importantly, have the opportunity to be able to deliver them with the Labour government.
But do you feel that, you know, from Newsnight to little old us coming to interview you here in your constituency, do you feel I'm going to have to put up with this for another 7 months, or people saying this about UKIP, that about UKIP, you know, can you keep it up?
Oh, absolutely. This is just small business in terms of politics. We know this is a really big fight. I've been very clear that national circumstances have changed, and though we know that in Thurrock this is a three-way fight, but this is, for me, this is a fight for the people of Thurrock that I would like to be able to represent, and to be able to sort of deliver on the values that I hold dear and they hold dear when we have those conversations, which is to have a decent country where people have opportunity and hope for the future. And that's about having some jobs, which is why we're talking about a job guarantee scheme for young people, paid for by as bankers' tax. That's why we're talking about making sure that you have as many apprenticeships as you have university places, because there's far too many young people around here who don't get that first step on the ladder and then find themselves stuck in jobs that is much more difficult to progress in. And that's why when we're talking about the kind of jobs you have, that those jobs are secure and that they can make ends meet. We don't want a situation where people are either undercut or underpaid, so that's why we want to have a strengthened minimum wage of £8 an hour. That's why we would give tax cuts to companies that pay the living wage, and that we don't have agencies hiring only foreign workers. There's a reason why we've got that in Labour Party policy, because candidates like me in communities like mine have said to the Labour Party, we need to be able to make sure that these things work for people, and you can't have a situation where employment practices mean that people are being undercut by people from elsewhere who get an opportunity to get a job which isn't available to local people.
Do you feel there's some fundamental employment rights that have disappeared over the last decade, and it's almost people, if somebody was in a time, woke up from a coma from 1979 or 1992, would say, these rights have gone? What on earth happened here?
Well, I think there has been exploitation by employers of some of the rules, and that's why we need to tighten up some of the rules. I would also point out that for 18 years we had a Tory government who undermined a lot of employment rights, and the only place we got the strength to be able to have those employment rights was the European Union. So sometimes there are things that the European Union does right. When it doesn't do things right, I'm perfectly happy to say so, and I think we should be able to have the chance to be able to say whether we want what kind of European Union we want.
Going back to sort of the focus on you, bag carrier doesn't come from the borough. Do those things? Do you find those things insulting?
Well, I just think like thousands of people, I've chosen to live in Thurrock. There are thousands of people who have chosen to live here, partly because it's the place they could get work, or that was the first place they could buy a house with a garden. Exactly the same reasons my parents moved out of their flat to outer London, because that was the first place they could afford to buy somewhere. And I think it seems to me a bit odd for any politician to be rude about so many people in their community who've chosen to live here. Up until now, everywhere I've lived because that's where the work was. This is the first time I've said, you know what, I want to move there and live there and see what difference I can make personally to that community.
We're here in the rain in the ward of West Thurrock and South Stifford. There's a by-election on Thursday. If you lose it, you know, it'd be quite an important one to lose, isn't it? Are you worried about that? Are you confident about that? Are you working hard?
I think that we've got this by-election, we've got another by-election expected in Averley. We need, you know, if UKIP are serious about what they're trying to do, they are going to need to be able to really, really destroy us in West Thurrock and South Stifford, and I would expect to see a very, very high win for UKIP in Averley if they're on the sort of surge that they're claiming. I think they really need, these are tests for UKIP, they're not tests for us.